Some people would have you believe that plug-in hybrids are dead. In fact, some car brands would have you believe that plug-in hybrids are dead. See, a number of car makers in Australia have dropped PHEVs from their lineup to focus on pure electric vehicles, which that'll be great for a lot of people. But what if you're somebody who wants to drive during the week for your daily commute on electric power, but then on the weekend drive to a destination far, far away uninterrupted? Then maybe a plug-in hybrid is a better option. Audi's been out of the PHEV game for a little while now, but it's back in a big way with a plug-in version of its super popular Q5 SUV. But has electrification helped or hindered what was already a really good offering? Let's get in and find out, shall we? So unless you're after the spicy SQ5 performance variant, the plug-in hybrid, or the 55 TFSI E Quattro S-Line, as Audi calls it, is the most expensive Q5 you can buy at the moment. And it comes in two body styles, the SUV and the Sportback, which is the swoopy coupe style version. The SUV is priced at $102,900 before on-road costs, and the Sportback is $110,200. That's a $7,300 difference between the two. If your chosen plug-in hybrid must be a premium medium SUV, then the Audi has some solid competition. There's the BMW X3, Volvo XC60, Range Rover Evoque, and the Lexus NX. The BMW is the priciest in this bunch, and the Audi lines up well against the Volvo and the Evoque on price, but it can't beat the Lexus. Given what you get though, I think Audi's got the value equation right. As its name suggests, the Q5 55 TFSI has an electric-only range of 55 kilometres before the petrol engine kicks in. Other than that, it comes with a panoramic sunroof, hands-free power tailgate, ambient lighting with 30 colours, front leather-appointed seats with heating and power adjustment, 3-zone climate control, a 10.1-inch multimedia touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, digital radio, 10-speaker audio, and a lot more. There's just one option pack called the Technic package from $4,700 to $4,900, and that adds fancier head or tail lights depending on the body style, a head-up display, and an even more premium Bang & Olufsen audio system. More details on the standard gear can be found in my written review at carsguide.com.au. Believe it or not, the second generation Q5 has been around for about 6 years now, and it's currently in its facelift era. Now, the PHEV here gets a few visual flourishes over and above a regular Q5. It gets the S-Line exterior package, and that means it gets a unique bumper and grille with that nice honeycomb kind of motif as well. And you get a few other flourishes as well, including unique 20-inch wheels. You can option 21s. Now, this is the Sportback version. I'm more of a fan of the look of the SUV. I just think it's a bit more classic. I don't love this sort of swoopy style, but a lot of people do. And at the back, they've actually added a really neat spoiler from the SQ5 to give it that extra sporty touch. Inside, there's no mistaking this as anything other than an Audi. From the diamond seat pattern to the steering wheel and the screen jutting up from the dash. It has a premium European look and feel without being too over the top. It's nicely executed. So Audi has a reputation for building cars with beautiful interiors, and even though the Q5's been around for a little while now, I think it's still a really lovely design. Not as modern as some of the more recent Audis that have come out, of course, but I think it's still really beautifully done. All of the touch points are really well executed. I like the fact that this has a lot of buttons still. I complain about that a lot, but I would much prefer to be using air conditioning via buttons than making my way through a screen. It does feel a little bit old school having the screen, the touch screen on the top of the dash here, but again, newer Audis are obviously going in a different direction. One thing I love about this car is this beautiful light grey leather with this incredible stitching. The Sportback gets the S-Line interior package, the SUV doesn't get that. I'm in love with this colour. I think it's so beautiful. And they've got some really nice kind of aluminium touches as well. In terms of practicality, it's great. It's got quite a decent sized glove box. You can fit quite a decent sized bottle in the doors as well. I love the fact that the phone charger is here. I think that's quite neat, but it also hides a couple of, reasonably sized cup holders. And there's a few other little nooks here and here. I love that you can whack your phone here as well. So lots of places to put your phone and not touch it while you're driving. In terms of the tech in this car as well, Audi was a pioneer with the digital cockpit situation, and they've just kind of gotten better and better with that with each iteration. So I'm a big fan of how they've done this. And the multimedia setup as well is quite simple. Again, this is a much more advanced version of what they did originally in the Q5, but it's not overwhelming. The tech is just enough, I would say. Overall, I think this is a really lovely front seat. I've got plenty of space, heaps of headroom, even with this enormous panoramic sunroof, and this steering wheel with the stitching is beautiful to touch as well. So I'm sat here in the back of the Sportback version of the plug-in hybrid, and I'm sitting behind what is my 6-foot tall driving position. And I've got ample leg room, heaps of toe room, which is becoming increasingly rare, and surprisingly quite a bit of headroom, despite the fact that the Sportback obviously has that swoopy kind of headlining. So no issues in terms of interior space here. And there's a nice bit of bucketing in the seats as well. So a lot of kind of family SUVs have really flat rear seats. I like the fact that you can kind of sink into this a little bit. Again, this beautiful color as well. In the middle here, of course, you've got a fold down armrest with a couple of handy smallish cup holders. It'll fit a small flat white in there. So that works quite well. Obviously, you've got your ISOFIX on the outboard seats. In terms of other amenities, you've just got the knee level air vents down here, and you've got USB ports as well, and a 12-volt charger too. A couple of map pockets, of course, just the nets on the back, and there's a decent amount of space in the doors for large bottles and other items as well. So this is a really nice space with quite a bit of practicality in the back here. So being a plug-in hybrid, it has the battery pack underneath the boot here. So it does eat into cargo space a little bit. So compared with the petrol version, the SUV loses 55 litres. And the Sportback here loses 45 litres compared to the petrol equivalent. Now, if you are intent on getting the plug-in hybrid version of the Q5, the difference between the SUV and the Sportback is only 10 litres in favour of the SUV, obviously. It's actually a pretty decent space here in the Sportback, but as you can see, if you keep the charging equipment in here, you're going to lose a little bit of space. The Q5 pairs a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine with a plug-in hybrid setup. That includes a 17.9 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack and an electric motor. The total system output is 270 kilowatts of power and 500 newton meters of torque, which is impressive. In fact, it has more power but a little less torque than the SQ5 performance flagship. It drives all 4 wheels thanks to Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system and does that via a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic. That 17.9 kilowatt-hour battery gives the Q5 an electric driving range of up to 55 kilometres. That's more than the 41 kilometres you get with the BMW X3, but it's off the pace of the Lexus NX with 87 kilometres. Energy consumption is rated at 23.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres, and the official fuel consumption figure for the Q5 is 2 litres per 100 kilometres. It has a 54-litre fuel tank and emits 45 grams per kilometre of CO2. It comes with a Type 2 plug and a charger to add more juice at home using a regular household outlet. Topping up using a 7.2 kilowatt charger will take about 2.5 hours to fully charge. You can also plug it into a regular wall socket at home and it'll be charged up overnight. So the Q5 is already a really dynamically capable SUV. I remember I drove the second generation one just before it was launched in Australia, and it was an improvement over the old one, but it was also kind of setting a new benchmark for this segment, I think, against things like Mercedes GLC, of course, and BMW X3, it was a really impressive car to drive. So I'm quite curious to see how the plug-in hybrid goes, because I haven't driven a Q5 in quite a while. So perhaps unsurprisingly, the plug-in hybrid version adds a bit of weight compared to the 45 TFSI petrol version. In fact, it adds about 300 kilograms when you compare it to that version. But unless you're comparing it back to back, which we haven't been able to do on this event, it's pretty hard to kind of tell if it's going to have an impact. But I will say it certainly doesn't feel heavy on the road, like at speed or even around town. Volkswagen Group products generally have really quite light steering, like it feels quite light, even when you're driving, at a certain speed on a country road or something like that, and the Q5 is no exception. But there's something, really lovely about how it steers as well, because it still feels really quite sharp and quite direct. You feel very much in control of the car behind the wheel. The road that we're driving on has got quite coarse chip surfaces, so there is a bit of noise getting into the cabin, but throughout the drive before this, it's been completely fine and pretty well insulated. Oftentimes a car with electrification, whether it's a plug-in hybrid or full battery electric vehicle, the weight has an impact on the ride comfort, particularly depending on what sort of wheels you've got. We're riding here on the 20-inch wheels, but it's got quite a decent sidewall for the tyres, so it seems to soak up bumps pretty well. At no point throughout this drive have I thought, oh, that was a sharp rut, and we've actually hit a number of potholes that were quite substantial up here in Queensland. But honestly, from my perspective, the ride quality has been really quite good. I'm just so impressed at how well this thing has handled when you push it into a corner. Again, you don't feel the weight of the battery or anything like that. And I know Audi is pitching this as like, a kind of a greener alternative to an SQ5, like it's a sporty plug-in hybrid, which, is kind of marketing talk. But at the same time, I absolutely get what they're talking about. It's got grip for days. I've felt really confident on pretty much any of the twistier road surfaces we've been on, and I'm finding it hard to complain about how this thing drives. That 7-speed transmission has been really smooth as well. I haven't really even noticed it on this drive, which I think is a positive thing. We're in EV mode at the moment, so obviously it's all very quiet and nice, but there's a number of different modes, including battery charge mode as well. In any mode, it doesn't matter what it is, the Q5 plug-in hybrid will do 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds, which is pretty impressive for an electrified vehicle, I think. As well as a decent standard features list, the Q5 plug-in counts an impressive level of safety gear. It comes with 8 airbags in total, although that does not include a front centre airbag. It also gets the usual suite of driver aids, including Audi's pre-sent city system that activates emergency braking at speeds up to 85 kilometres an hour. While the rest of the Q5 range is covered by a 5-star ANCAP safety rating dating back to 2017, the Q5 plug-in hybrid remains unrated for now. Check out the full written review at carsguide.com.au for more on the safety spec. The Q5 comes with Audi's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty that was announced at the start of 2022. There's also an 8-year or 160,000 kilometre battery warranty. Service intervals are every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever comes first, and Audi offers a capped price service plan for 5 years that costs about $3,500 all up. That's a little pricier than BMW and Volvo's plan. Depending on your daily and weekly driving requirements, a plug-in hybrid could be a really good option when it comes to electrification. So on the practicality front, the Q5 gets a big tick. It's also got genuinely engaging driving dynamics and that beautifully appointed interior. And it's more affordable and has a better driving range than its closest rival from Germany. So all up, the Q5 plug-in hybrid is actually pretty hard to beat within its segment. For more on the Q5 plug-in hybrid, head across to carsguide.com.au.